According to the Gun Violence Archive, since Friday, there have already been at least 12 mass shootings nationwide. This as a bipartisan group of senators are expected to meet this week to discuss a path forward on gun safety. The measures under discussion include red flag laws, background checks, and safe storage of guns. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who is leading the talks, spoke about this on Face the Nation.
I do think there's an opportunity right now to be able to pass something significant. I've seen more Republican interest in coming to the table and talking this time than at any other moment since Sandy Hook. I really think that we could pass something that saves lives and breaks this logjam that we've had for 30 years, proving to Republicans that if you vote to tighten the nation's gun laws, the sky doesn't fall for you politically. In fact, you probably will get a lot of new additional supporters. So red flag laws are on the table, background checks expansion and on the table, as well as things like safe storage of guns.
And joining us now with more analysis is our congressional correspondent, Scott MacFarlane. Scott, welcome.
Hey, Allie.
Now, is there a possibility of 60 votes across both parties to pass gun legislation? And who are the lawmakers that we should be watching for?
Yeah, 60 votes is a treacherous path in the U.S. Senate, pretty much for anything at this moment in time, Allie, much less gun control law, the radioactive political issue it's been over the past few years. You just heard Chris Murphy, who's not only leading the Democratic caucus effort towards getting gun control law, he's kind of cheerleading for it, saying he doesn't want a messaging bill, doesn't want a political bill on the floor. He wants something that can get us closer to 60 votes in the U.S. Senate. The bills that are being discussed by staff and by members of Congress right now, Allie, are smaller bore gun control proposals, one of which is a red flag law. In fact, it would be a federal grant program to help states enact a red flag law. A red flag law is when a judge orders a gun be taken from somebody who's deemed dangerous or deemed to be an irresponsible gun owner. Background checks, there were discussions of that last summer between Chris Murphy and Texas Republican John Cornyn. Those talks broke off, but John Cornyn of Texas is one to watch. He's a Republican to watch at this moment in time, not only because he was open to negotiations in the past, but he's been specifically tasked with doing the negotiations by Republican leader Mitch McConnell. There's an opening. There's optimism from Senator Chris Murphy, but Allie, at this moment in time, to get to 60 votes, there is an optimism from many here at the Capitol.
Congress is on recess this week, so how does that play into these negotiations?
So we had not only a Supreme Court argument over gun control that could come up in the coming weeks, you have the FBI, or the Justice Department, now entertaining a review in Uvalde, Texas, over what went wrong with law enforcement. But you have, in the coming weeks, this recess. All kinds of variables being thrown at gun control negotiations. The recess might help, according to members of the U.S. Senate, because they're not here. They're not under the microscope that comes with being inside the U.S. Capitol. The conversations can be longer. They can be more informal. They can be more incremental. They can happen by Zoom or by phone. And not being beneath that microscope could help foster those discussions. That's actually giving a shred of optimism to those involved. But I'll also note that there's a lot of people concerned that the U.S. Senate went forward with its Memorial Day recess, its work period, and didn't stay here considering the scope and magnitude of these two horrific mass shootings that came just weeks apart.
That's right, a lot of scrutiny over that recess, but it's interesting to hear that it may move the needle forward. And as you mentioned, the Justice Department says it will review the police response in Uvalde. So what can we expect there?
They call this a critical incident review, Allie. It's not a criminal investigation or a civil investigation. It's a review requested by Uvalde's City Commission and by the county in Uvalde County. They want this federal review. What this tends to be, from the Justice Department's perspective, is a chance to spend a lot of time looking at how law enforcement responded, the best practices that were or were not followed, and to draw up a lesson plan for other police departments nationwide to help them better respond to future active shooter situations. You have police departments across the country that have regular training on how to respond to active shootings, including in Uvalde, and you can see sometimes that training isn't sufficient, that best practices are not followed. What the Justice Department wants to do here, Allie, is create a better playbook for other police departments nationwide to better respond to the next crisis in their community.
And now, Scott, turning to the investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol, both House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Congressman Mo Brooks are scheduled to appear for a deposition this week. So what's the latest you're hearing about that?
They will not appear. They've been unequivocal about that. They don't believe the January 6th Select Committee is legitimate in its composition because it was appointed strictly by Speaker Nancy Pelosi, that they don't have the Republicans chosen by the Republican Party on this committee. They don't think it has the authority to do its business. At least they're arguing that. And they won't participate. They won't honor those subpoenas, which raises a provocative question. What do you do when a fellow member of Congress doesn't honor a subpoena? Do you refer for possible criminal prosecution? Is there another lever to press to try to compel their testimony? That question aside, time is running short for this January 6th Select Committee. Their first primetime hearing is June 9th. That's a week and a half away, and they're going to start those hearings without a lot of the testimony they want, not just from those members of Congress, not just from those colleagues in the Republican conference, but from key witnesses they've been seeking elsewhere.
Scott, thank you for your insight.